In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade.
That's what we were told. Most Americans never believed Lee Oswald was the lone gunman, for excellent reasons. In fact, there were at least 6 shooters who fired from 8 to 10 shots or more who are identified here. We have, finally, the solution to the greatest murder mystery in history, laid out for the world to see, proof after proof after proof. Photos were faked, the body was changed, x-rays were altered, the home movies were fixed. 15 experts contribute to a 529-page book with 1,037 photos and diagrams in black and white and color.
Hi, this is Gary King. If you'd like JFK, who, how, and why, and would like to support the new JFK show, then go to patriotradiobooks.com. That's patriotradiobooks.com.
All right, welcome to the new JFK show number 206. We've got film analyst Mike Machanska once again on our show, along with Don Fox, Larry Rivera, Dr. Jim Fesser, of course, and myself, Gary King. All right, like I said before, I think there's been some collusion going on between Larry and Mike. So let's go ahead and talk about it.
Hey, Gary, I just wanted to say we want to welcome Mike again tonight. We had a lot of positive reactions from the last time he was on the show, even though it was, he called in on his phone, and it was an impromptu show that we did, even though it was like that. Like I said, we had a lot of really good reactions, so we figured that tonight we would invite Mike to, offer something a little bit more organized, and he's done so, and he's sent in some really nifty images and a lot of really good.
So Mike, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself for the people that haven't seen you before, if you don't mind.
Well, this all started because I'm working on an Oswald project, trying to get a film made, but I've been researching the JFK assassination for years and years, and what we're going to look at tonight is basically me trying to find out what was hidden from everyone who was there, who said there were shots fired well before frame 313, before what we all know was the actual kill shot. So I was looking for anomalies, and once I saw the stills on the application form, someone put up the whole stills that you can blow up and look full screen on the computer there. I would never be able to have seen this and study this the way that I have just by looking at the film going forward. What we usually
Mike, just a question of clarity. Are you assuming the extant version of the film is complete and authentic, or do you take for granted it's been massively edited?
Of course, it's massively edited and taken apart, put back together.
Good. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Guys, I'm with you guys 100%. I just I followed you guys. This is how I got more and more into this, especially with this one right here.
Oh, good. I've seen that book before.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So yeah, no, so these stills, I've noticed things that just could not possibly be photographed. That's touch-ups well beyond what I thought was just, originally just around frame 313 kill shot. Didn't have any real reason to believe anything was altered around that until I started looking further and further. And then throughout the film, there is what is mostly utilized is the blacking out, someone actually going in and making it look like a shadow to hide frames that were taken out, even things that were not massively altered.
Okay, I just wanted to say real quickly here for our audience that Mike has gone to film school. That's what he's graduated from, and that's been his area of expertise and study for a long time. So for those who were wondering, if Mike tells you that this has been edited and whatever he sees in the film, you can guarantee it that that's exactly what's going on. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, all the way back in film school, no one uses film anymore, but back then, I shot and cut films on Super 8 and 16. So when you're actually using actual film to cut things frame by frame, you know the natural movement of people and motion from frame by frame, from looking at it over and over again. And all the way back, as far as I can remember, like looking at the Zapruder film, when you get a chance to see it over and over, there's just not natural movement in throughout the film. So to get back, when I really started to learn more, or when you watch it as it goes by, it's kind of not normally going to see this kind of detail. But when I saw the thanks to you guys and got the actual frame by frame, the blown up images that you can never see as it's going past you as an actual film, that's when I could actually see these anomalies. And for what the most part is what they used is blacking out of things they didn't want people to see, hiding, cutting out frames, hiding the alterations, which they couldn't duplicate in other areas. So you got to remember, they had to adhere to the 6-second rule that obviously was false. That he said Oswald shot 3 times in 6 seconds. So knowing that, what they were limited to, I could kind of reverse engineer what was going on and what they did.
Yeah. That's exactly what we covered last week with Beverly Brunson, identifying in the Zapruder film reactions that did not correspond to a gunfire, to the sound of gunfire. So that goes exactly what her theories were.
Yeah. I mean, and we talked about actually 2 weeks ago. What became obvious to me that they initially I thought they took out that turn onto Elm because there were shots missed, or there's something that was obvious about what was happening in the film.
They actually missed a turn. They missed a turn and had to back up.
Yeah, Rich De La Rosa actually saw an unedited version of the Zfilm and said that the limo made a wide turn and it almost went down that Elm Street annex in front of the school book depository building.
Right. You can see the turn in the Towner film, right, Larry, and also the film, which, again, Larry, we never talked about this, but that I believe the Hughes film, there was some blacking out of the spaces in between the branches of the trees because otherwise you would be able to see that more of that turn. So anyway, again, what we were talking about a couple weeks ago is what they used. They took out that missing return so they could use that footage later on where people would have been reacting to actually what was happening in real time. But anyway, again, reverse engineer what was going on, not just to kind of disprove the Zapruder film, which the more you look at it, the more you can tell that's been altered, but really to figure out what was actually going on, because so many people who were there said, for instance, that JFK bounced up, or some even said he stood up, and that could very well have been from the shot in the back, which again I learned from you guys is probably from Harry Weatherford from the top of the record building or the Dallas building. So what I also mentioned in the other show is that to hide that shot, his reaction to the shot in the back, he's shot in the back, he's reacting on that, and then he reacts to the shot in the throat. What I believe they did is elongated the reaction to the throat. Wow. So eliminating one shot, because again, he shot in the back. People who know which they said it came out in the back and now his throat, which is ridiculous. But yeah, to react to that. So where's that reaction? I think that was the elongated, the pin grabbing his throat, and again, this always looked fake to me.
That's interesting, Mike. That's because nobody has ever pointed that out. Am I right, Jim? You might want to comment on that about elongating, the sequence there by doing that.
Yeah, I'd like to go through it frame by frame and review it. Bob Livingston, who was a world authority on the human brain, told me he believed this actually was the Thorburn reflex when Jack reached up to grab his throat from having been hit by the bullet. So he thought that was legit. But the elongation of the frame was specifically to cover
multiple shots.
Yeah.
The shot in the back, and
plus
the shot.
Multiple reactions to different shots, which obviously did not conform to the single bullet theory.
Well, the thing about standing up, it's peculiar because Arlen Specter, in one particular interview in 7 minutes, gave 7 different false claims. But one of them, which Mike may be suggesting might have been true, was that he did sort of jerk up. I think Specter was actually claiming the reason he was shot in the throat is he stood up and turned around, and that's how Lee Oswald shot him in the throat, which of course is absurd by any measure. The idea that he might have
remember Arlen Specter was a Jew
of the order of what I'm exhibiting is entirely possible.
Yeah, Arlen Specter, was a Jew, so of course he's gonna lie, his ass off, especially about something like the Kennedy assassination. I remember hearing that spiel where he turned around to the school book building and got shot in the throat. Well, that's just patently false.
It is. It's just absurd. Nobody saw this happen. It didn't happen. It was just a fabrication to explain the throat wound because it was a wound of entry. Mike, I want you to continue. I may have missed a part of your subtle explanation.
Also, what everyone, if they're interested in this, has to watch Douglas Horn's interview of Dino Brugioni.
Yes.
It's a long interview, but it's worth it. But I think there's a shortened version where Brugioni actually talks about what he saw, which was the unedited Zapruder film, which came in that night to whatever lab, high-tech lab he was working at.
National Photo Interpretation Center. Saturday was brought in the original as an 8mm already split film developed in Dallas. They had to have a shop owner open his store so they could buy an 8mm film in order to project it.
Yeah, what I believe he said is when they went behind the sign, he saw JFK's head pop up, a little bit from underneath the sign, behind the sign, but above the top of the sign.
This is very interesting. This might be one of the reasons they had to take out and then put back in the sign, which they did improperly, as John Costello demonstrated.
Yeah.
So which witness said that they had seen that?
Oh,
You're saying Bruno.
I don't have Larry's.
The interview with
Guglielmi, who is a leading film expert who was working at the NPIC. See, Saturday he was on the crew. He wasn't there Sunday when they brought the replacement, Gary. He was there Saturday and saw the original unedited film before the substitution was made.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
But a number of people saw, who were there, and when you read interviews of that day or the next day, said there was some kind of JFK's reaction to.
Is that in volume 4 then of his Inside the ARRB, Mike?
I think so. I have that. I have 1 and 4. So I think that's where he gets into that. But anybody, you got to watch this that interview. There's a ton of stuff that Brugioni says.
I've got volume 4 right here.
Yeah. Well, Brugioni says JFK's brain matter went up into the air, like above his head, which again,
a lot of people said that.
Yeah. And little tangent there is, that's still that what Jim Garrison thought was probably a shot from the storm drain. So there's a lot to explain there. But
David Mantic and I went down to the storm drain. David actually climbed into the storm drain. David is both a PhD in physics and an MD. He's the leading expert on the medical evidence. And we concluded that the angle was wrong for the shot to the head to have originated from the storm drain. Instead, it appears to have originated from the intersection of the triple underpass and the picket fence, where there was an above-ground sewer opening from which that shot appears to have been fired. But, I mean, it's fascinating. Many people talk about the storm drain. David actually climbed down into it while I was with him.
Yeah. Are you talking about the not the storm drain on the street, but further down, right, Mike?
Well, both. You know, does anyone know? I know the actual storm drain was altered itself, but they poured concrete into it, and they you know, closed. It was much more wide and
the opening. Yeah, the opening.
Yeah, the opening. So you know what it is now, and it has been.
You know, this was years ago. They've let layers of asphalt build up too, Mike. Yeah. You're right about that. But go ahead. You know, go ahead. I want to hear your views, not.
Hey, guys! I wanted to show you guys something real quick because you were talking about the president supposedly turning turning into the sniper's nest. And right here, it came from Paul Mandel in Life magazine, 12/7/63, and it says here, since by the time the limousine was 50 yards past Oswald and the president's back was turned almost directly to the sniper.
It's just absurd. This is a piece of garbage. Yes, we've long noticed that about this particular article. It's ridiculous.
Okay, it's Paul Mandel. And later on, he met a very mysterious death. He was another one that you know, met a very mysterious anyway.
So if Kennedy didn't turn around to the sniper's nest on the 6th floor, then how was he shot in the throat?
Well, you know, you don't see any of that. You don't see any of that.
How can he be shot from in front?
And the same as you don't see any of the motorcycle cops looking backwards, as you know, those FBI reports, which I have included in the JFK Horseman, where, you know, it simply didn't happen. Because if you're going to take the Zapruder film as valid, you know, and you're going to look at the reactions of the motorcycle cops, you know, none of them reacted towards the Texas School Book Depository as the shooting was happening. It just didn't happen.
They don't react to anything, actually. You look at things that probably are altered. Those are probably, and we can get into that. You can see it more in the stills, because again, when you're watching the Zapruder film going, who's looking at the games? You know, they're I think actually they've been adjusted as well.
They also said that they couldn't hear anything at all.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. From all the FBI reports, you know, the supposed interviews with, you know, with the JFK Horsemen, you know, Shaney, Jackson, Hargis, and Martin, you know, and supposedly all of them, you know, reacted towards the back, towards the TSPD, and just, you don't even see that in the Zapruder film. So go ahead. You guys want? I can go ahead and start Mike's presentation here.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. We'll go right here. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. You started frame 178, and you're talking about the beginning of a wave, where I suppose you're talking about JFK. So go ahead.
Actually, I was looking a little bit more at it today, and at 133, he starts to brush his hair back, with a lot of people that said he did. But frame 178, he starts to wave.
Let's look at that.
Yeah, that's number 2. Yeah, there we go. Well, you got to get in there. You got to zoom in there.
I can't. I can't. But I'm circling it with the mouse pointer.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. There's a shadow there that shouldn't even be there. I see, next to his hand.
On his shoulder or next to his hand, yeah.
Yeah. You guys see that right here?
A black spot.
Yeah, right there. Where I see where the mouse pointer is. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you wanted to go into the actual frames that I sent you, that I emailed to you, if you can open them up.
I'm advancing them, but I'll go back.
Yeah, but see, like here, it would be really hard for people to see what we're talking about. Let me explain what will show a little bit better. So he starts to wave, and right around this time, and actually this is you guys' friend Robert Groden actually recently admitted that they took frames out of Kennedy turning and reacting to a missed shot that went over the head. And again, one of the shots hit the chrome of the windshield. A number of people said there was a flurry of shots. So what I believe they did was when he starts to wave, what actually happened, they elongated this wave, whereas I'll do it here. His face, his hand is in front of JFK's
Right.
face. Or
They're stretching time. They're stretching time is what you're trying to say.
they're stretching or taking out where JFK reacts to something. And also, again, this is invaluable if, to actually be there at Dealey Plaza to see when, if you can visualize a lot better being in where JFK was, and he's waving, but where his hand is okay, like right here, we're on frame 186. That is a completely, and you could see that more. There's a blacked out, which is an impossible shadow. It can't be a shadow, and it goes beyond JFK's actual elbow and arm, where my point is that that in no way would JFK's hand be in front of his face if he's waving. It would be more like him high-fiving someone. He's looking to his right and waving to the crowd, but his hand is in front of his face. Mm-hmm. So
and his hand is way out in front. You're right. I can see that.
Yeah. So there's something going on. He waved, and then something else, probably reacting to a missed shot. And they couldn't have that. They couldn't have that because they couldn't have the first shot happen until you guys would know that better off the top of.
Till they cleared the trees.
Yeah, it would have been the throat shot. It was the first shot would have been like in the early 200s, right after the attack put out the side. So to keep going with this, his hand is in front of his face all the way to frame 199, and just imagine. JFK, you're waving, and your hand is going to be moving. It's going to be like out. It's going to be more out to his right, and the odds of that, with what we're seeing, his hand in front of his face for that long, is astronomical. Mm. And from what we know, of course, the Simmons previous sign was large, elongated, to hide more action that they didn't want us to see. And this elongating of the wave and his hand in front of his face, and the spatial reactions, which would have been, what the fuck is that? They extend that all the way where they could until it passes, until they pass behind the Stemmons sign.
Now on this next slide here, Mike, you're talking about on frame 189, an impossible shadow over the limo door. Can you tell us what exactly, is this what you're talking about right here? Where I have the mouse pointer?
Yeah, that's...
it's an artifact.
And again, his hand does not, that's not, if you weren't looking at it, it looks like a natural, where his hand would be. But where that blackout is, where you're putting the cursor over, they're hiding movement there. So it just looks, what they probably did is they cut his arm from a natural frame and kept it here for as long as they could, which would never happen. So something else is happening, different kind of with his elbow. That's what was blocked out. So where you see stuff being blacked out, which can't be a shadow, and then and again, right around now, right above JFK's head is more blacking out, where if you went up just kind of where the frame is of my you can say your head maybe it's not going up but it's going back, and they're hiding this head movement, which is they're blacking. They're keeping. That's hard to explain. They're doubling JFK's earlier moves and keeping that stationary. Whereas what actually happened is what's actually in that frame is JFK's head is higher, and what they were blacking out is where JFK's head or maybe an arm movement or something is where that the cop's right leg would be.
What about this frame 190? It says you're saying that it's blurred, hiding a possible angle of JFK's elbow to the hand. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think probably what happened is one of two things is that
Right there.
Yeah. See, and the shadow isn't blurred. If you now look to the right, where these right above where the limo's flag is, you could see the shadows of the tree, and some of it's light and some of it's darker than other parts of the shadow. None of it's black. So whatever's black is what they're hiding. So but yeah, that it goes over now. It's going over the limo, which is possible. So something was going on with JFK's hand or elbow, which they're hiding. They want to keep this. They want to keep this going on for as long as possible. And then the blur probably came across by accident because possibly when Zapruder heard a shot, you're going to have someone pops a bag or you hear like a little crack or whatever, you're going to have a little twitch. And which would have made a frame or two blurred because the camera's moving.
Right. I was going to say that. I was going to say a lot of people think that the blurring happened, as Zapruder was reacting, unconsciously to a shot. Right, Jim?
That actually, I'm sure that definitely happened. But I believe they used this blurring, either extended that a couple frames or here or there. You guys probably know how they would do that is when they were reprinting it, they just elongate.
But I just want to say that if there's a blur, in an unconscious reaction to a shot, it would have crossed into a few frames, not just one. Don't you think, Mike?
Well, but also remember they got to take
because when you're going at 18.3 frames a second, maybe even 24, then it should have crossed over to a couple of frames. That blurring is what I'm talking about.
But remember, but at the same time that they're elongating things, they got to shorten things because it's they're constantly having to hide certain frames. So that's why the reaction to the them being shot in the throat is jerky because they have to elongate it, but then they also have to take things out, so it's not going to be smooth.
Mike, do you have an opinion about the rate at which the original film was shot? Could it have been in slow-mo at 48 frames per second?
Yeah, if someone told Zapruder to film there and to do that, because for people who don't know, if it's in slow motion, you're shooting double, depending on how slow motion you want. But I think that camera only had, it wouldn't be 48. It would have been probably 36 for double, for twice as slow as actually happening. So for people who don't know, you're shooting full frames.
I thought it had 124, which would be regular, and then 48 for slow-mo. Is that wrong?
Well, for a 60 millimeter camera or 35 millimeter camera, that would be. But I think the 8 millimeter was a different frames per second.
Well, the official version is 18.3, right?
Oh no, yeah, but Larry, they explained.
I know.
It didn't conform to what ought to have been the rate.
Right. I understand. No, I'm just saying that what the official version.
Yeah, of course, they claimed it was 18.3, which is then true of what we have. After they removed so many frames that it turns out you have a smaller number for the same period of time when you remove many from.
Well, now, Mike, explain here where you're talking about Conley. Something about a shot above the that should have hit the chrome molding there. What? I've never heard that one before. You want to explain that?
Well, no, I'm sure you've seen the photo of above, the chrome molding above the windshield where there was a dent,
Sure.
probably coming from the Daltex building.
Sure.
One of the shots, probably one of the shots that JFK is reacting to, where this, again, one of the reasons why I looked at that part of the film is so many people said that, they heard shots and they heard a flurry of shots, different people, and also, I mean, it makes perfect sense that they were going to try to shoot him earlier than where we see in frame 192. I mean, I would think, again, the wide turn probably screwed up some of the snipers in the Daltex building, the County Records building, and maybe even as you say, Jim, possibly Malcolm Wallace up in the what either side would you believe the book depository. That screwed up their angle, so they didn't get that because again, it would make if you're thinking you're playing this, you want to shoot them as close to the that turn as possible, which would make it more believable that where that the fake sniper's nest was, where they say Oswald was. That's what the story, what they want. You want it to be as as believable as possible. I think a lot of the shots missed probably because of that that turn, and possibly even before because Oswald wasn't where he was supposed to be, where they expect him to be up there. And that caused a lot of problems. Some even say, the silencers were not could have caused that.
On what frame do you think the throat, the frontal shot hit? In the 190s, the early 200s? What's your opinion on that? The one that went through the windshield and hit him in the throat. Obviously, with a delayed reaction by JFK, you're talking about, it could have been, much earlier than.
Because they really did a job on all this because it's, think of it, it's just from the chest up, so you don't see any other movement. They really, again, the more I look at this, the more they really could have.
Are you saying that this frame is when Connolly hears the frame get hit?
What's that?
The chrome strip.
Yeah, the chrome strip. Is this when you're saying that 192 is when Connolly reacts? Because I would sure jump if I had, were right next to that chrome strip.
Yeah, it could have happened at any time, and that's something they would have. There's probably of course a spark there.
Like right there. He looks a little weirded out right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a blurred frame, Gary. So it's kind of hard to really tell there. But the 192, you can tell, what's going on there.
Well, and go back to the Canadian film that Larry, you were showing the last show or the one before. Look how crisp that was. Look how you could see the definition of the faces of the people.
Right.
Just look at
I cannot hear Mike actually.
You can't hear me?
No. Well, now I could just now, but not before. Yeah.
Just look at these. The heads of the most of the cops right behind Kennedy. It's almost like the helmet is over their faces. It doesn't even look like there's anything there. So I think they're probably hiding reactions of the cops as well.
Of course, yeah. What about the spokes, the wheels, Mike? What's your take on that?
Well, I think they blurred that out as well, where they could.
Because after it comes out of from the Stemmons Freeway, it looks like we're looking at a totally different thing there.
Yeah, no, it's.
I mean, right here you can see, how bright, and the sun is reflecting and everything, before the Stemmons. But then after that, you just see, dullness, when you should see the opposite. You should see more definition as the car is approaching.
Yeah, and those are like real chrome hubcaps. So you're going to see, and there's spokes in there. So you would see.
Yeah.
And actually, again, one of the things I forgot to say when I was on it before is after it comes out, the limo comes out of the Stemmons Freeway sign. there's definitely a, for lack of a term, zooming in.
Yeah. See, for example, here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
That's just the hubcaps they have in the hood. You know, the ones that don't spin all the time. That's what it was.
Also,
he was riding dirty, man. He was riding dirty.
Did they get the limo all tricked out before the motorcade?
Sure, man.
Got to spin. The spin slow down, and on both the hubcaps and the white walls, and even probably some detail on the tire.
Yeah. That would have probably given you an idea of the speed of the limo, of course.
Yeah, or at least it's slowing down. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that, they actually they messed with and it wouldn't have been that hard to do, to move the motorcycle cops over to make it less obvious that the limo
can't be counting the revolutions of the wheel. That's for sure.
Yeah, but also the cops on the motorcycles are going at their slow speed, and when rear puts on the brakes, of course they're going to move up. And they couldn't have that. And the version I was watching today, you could see the cops.
They're not synced. Yeah, they're not synced with what's going on in the limo.
Yeah. And the less detail they have on anything, the more you can adjust it to what you want to show. And again, just look all around. There's the less detail there's something that's more, there's something going on. Either in a more minute detail of just taking out frames, because again, if you're the natural facial expressions and movement of somebody, if you could see that detail, then you could see it would be more obvious to tell what's going on. Just look for the heads of the motorcycle cops.
When you go back to 225, I think at 225 you can see that the
no, we don't have. He goes from.
Windshield's been hit.
Right there you can see Billy Lovelady going by on the last shot. Yeah.
Oh,
sure can.
You can see that the windshield's already been hit there, 230.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. So that's my point. That the throat shot probably happened in the 190s, Jim.
Well, I don't know. I think 225 is the earliest frame where you can see that it's been hit. His reaction is going to be slightly delayed, but it's a reflex, so it's fairly prompt.
Right.
Look at Bellman looking right at the Cuban with his hand up. That there.
Yeah.
I mean, the windshield shot in and of itself proves a conspiracy. Right.
Sure.
And also, just look at what you got that there. If anyone really wants to check it out, I mean, I wish we could have zoomed in a little bit more, but just look at the JFK's arms. One is his right arm is looks like it's about a foot and a half, and his left looks like it's going out to the
2 feet long. Yeah,
that's good.
You see that?
They aren't the same.
And also, on this particular frame, look at everything under his arms. It's blacked out.
Yeah.
That can't happen. You can't have that.
Yeah, his elbow can't be all the way out there. You're right.
Something else was going on.
Well, Roy Schaefer has observed that the bullet that hit Jack in the back passed through the leather seat there.
Yes. That's right.
Well, it sure looks like an arrow. If you look
and
right
Jim,
behind
and Jim is also even more significant is the blink rate with Roy.
Sure.
Of the flashing lights in the front.
it looks a little strange right behind Kennedy's head, by his ear. It looks like an arrow.
And I owe Roy an apology for not publishing all of his blink rates. He had a whole lot of them that would have made several more pages in Assassination Science. I didn't include them all, which was a mistake on my part.
Which later on I actually replicated, Jim. I replicated his work, and it, you know, it's right on. It was spot on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, that's I think what you're talking about. That's where again the other last show. That's what Clint Hill was holding on to, where he's crouched down, or when they're standing, where people would have the Secret Service was fucking supposed to be holding on to that thing. You know, have at least have two guys on the back of that on the back of that limo. So that's the handle where they're supposed to hold on to.
okay, now how about this? Where you, let's go.
How come there are a couple of frames missing there? We go from
because he just wanted to present some of the specific.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, these are kind of the highlights. They're in
right.
every frame there's something like that, but this is more you know.
Yeah. Now, what about this impossible arm movement that you highlight here? Let's move with the 233. Impossible, right? Is this what you're talking about here? I mean,
this is movement, so it's got to be from 232 to 233.
I see a lot of distortion. I see a lot of distortion here, Mike. What's your take on that?
Yeah, and look, there's no definition on JFK's face, and there's even like a blacking out around his hairline in the back of his head.
Mm-hmm. Which we also see on frame 240, which we showed last time you were on.
Yeah, so the more something that, you know, what JFK is actually doing, what they're trying to hide, and it looks like, you know, they cut out his arms from the actual frame, from an actual frame, and just kept on using them to elongate this throat reaction. Mm-hmm. So again, look at all that black underneath.
What's all the white stuff there too, Mike? I mean, that white, it doesn't look natural either.
You know what that is? That's lamb chop, Jim.
No. I'm not talking about Jackie. No. I'm talking about like on his arm, Larry. Is that supposed to be a reflection of the sun? You know, it's like
look up from there. Up from there.
Right there. I know what you're talking about right here, where I'm pointing.
No. I'm talking about the arm itself. Up high. Left, Larry. Left. Yeah, through there. Right? Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a supposed reflection of the sun.
Well, I know, but it doesn't look right.
Yeah, right. That's the point. Yeah, right there. See?
Even more towards in frame 195 through 199, where the white shirt, you know, coming from underneath his jacket. Again, when it's up, his hands up there. Here, they had to hide stuff's going on with his face, so they stretched it out, and it's impossible for
It might be a streamer, huh?
Yeah. Okay, now 234. Only see elbow to wrist. Right here. Is this where I'm pointing? Is this what you're talking about?
No, it looks like it's you know, from you're only seeing like half from you know
this is elbow
forearm. I mean, you know, to his hands. I mean, just look at that. It's impossible. I mean, if his elbow should be going out further, and it's like he's got each arm is a foot long, and his hands disappear.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, Mike. I don't know of any other analysis of these particular frames detecting these features you're talking about. So, and by the way, obviously, we're going to have you back again next week if that works for you.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, now 235. Now JFK's left arm impossibly long. Let's take a look at 235 right here. Oh, left arm, right here. I see. Yeah, right. Which is my point that this been on.
Box out Jackie. He's trying to give Jackie the elbow to the face, and that's just like going back to what I said about when you're editing film and you're going from frame to frame, because you're combining shots and you're trying to match movement from one shot to the next. You know what's possible from frame to frame, and that's just going from frame. And actually, this from one still to the next actually may not be, what actually happened. You're cutting out frames, so that's what I'm saying. That's even more proof of what that is cutting out frames, because you can't go from that short of a length of an arm to from that.
Yeah.
It just and then watch it at regular speed, and you'll see it. It looks like.
236, still impossible shadows and blackouts under the arms. 236, right here. Right here.
Yeah. And you can see it, and you also see it in Connolly. Connolly's they could have messed with Connolly's head movement. They could have taken it from because look at that. That's just the blob.
No, and this is where you start to see where you don't see any features on JFK, but you do see them on Connolly and Jackie. Okay, which is Beverly Brunson also talked about this. Okay, and this is right here. I mean, you see it very clearly. Where his face seems to have been completely obliterated there.
Yeah, and even going back to frame 133, and then even when the wave started around 178. You could see more definition
in the face.
Then and now, he's maybe 50 yards closer, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, this one is really evident here.
Yeah, no, nothing. Just
I mean, even Kellerman, who's in the shadow here, you can see features.
His nose. Yeah, you almost see Jackie's teeth, man.
Yeah, you can see features on Connolly, you can see features on Jackie, but you can't see features on JFK.
Listen. Look at the on the right flag. You can see the fucking stars on that flag, and
right.
I don't know if there's actually 50 on that thing or whatever it is, whatever it is. But
right. The presidential flag. This is the presidential flag. That's
But even that white on blue on the one that's on the right.
Yeah.
You could see that even when it's happening.
No, and look like something is in this particular frame, which I'd never seen before.
Yeah. And that windshield is really looking real odd.
Jim, you see this here?
Yeah, I sure do. Yeah, that's a gross effect to obfuscate what's going on there. It's like they dripped water on it.
Either this is something on this particular copy of the Zfilm, or because we'd have to look at Costella's version to see if this is also present there.
Yeah, what version is this, Mike, by the way, the frames you're using?
It says the JFK, The Lost Bullet, show in 2011.
Yeah, I forget
who produced that.
I can go and look at Costello 237 if you guys want to.
I think you should do that. You want to pause? Should I pause?
What's the coincidence of hiding Greer's face? That's what that celluloid.
I think we should go and look at Costello 237. I can do it in. I'm
going to pause it right now. Pause.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so going back to our analysis here of frame 237, this is Costello 237. And as you can see where I'm pointing, you don't see that, and I can go ahead and give you a zoom on this one. Because,
well, I think they're trying to obfuscate the Greer appears to be looking backward, does he not?
Yeah, well, this is in Mike's copy of 237. You don't have this big
blot. It's like a watermark.
Yeah, right. But the Costello version does not have that. But again, like Mike was talking about, you don't see features on JFK, and you see this anomaly here, and the extended elbow here.
The left forearm is too long.
Right. The extended elbow and forearm, which is ridiculous looking, even cartoonish. And you can see features on Jackie and Connolly, even on Kellerman, but you don't see any on JFK, who's in the sunlight.
Look at his fist. It's like he's doing this. What? Like he's trombone or something like that. What,
like he's choking up on a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's fist on top of fist.
Let's take a look at 240 here, which is the one. You guys, can you see that we're on 240?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 240.
Yeah, I'll zoom in. Okay, for you guys, and this is even more evident. See, nothing on JFK. See, completely obliterated, just like Mike said here.
Facial features have been obfuscated.
Look how distorted here. The the left wrist is actually pointing downwards in a way, at a different angle than the forearm, which it doesn't even look normal here. You see this here?
Yeah.
So anyway.
And you know what?
I mean, you even see Nellie's nose.
Yeah, really. Yeah, right here. You can see Jackie clearly and Connolly, but you don't see anything on JFK. So anyway, let me go back to, we'll stop here and go back.
That was a good idea, Larry.
Yeah, we're right here. Got it. There you go. All right, 238.
Who produced The Lost Bullet?
I think it was National Geographic. I'm checking on that now. Yeah, it was National Geographic. We're showing on Canadian.
I wonder, it's like Jim said, this is very strategically placed here, to cover Greer. So who knows?
That's a bad job.
Look, and then at 238 it disappears. See what I mean?
Yeah.
236, 237, it's there. Then 238, it's not. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Maybe they.
Right here on your version here. You see this this blob here that.
What's the second thing they would want to hide is Greer looking back. Keeps looking back to see if JFK's been shot in the head or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. You don't see it in Costella's version.
Isn't that more of a pure? He got that early. Maybe they went back and because a lot of this stuff, for years, even after it was released in '75 when Grodin released it, you couldn't see where the cops were for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't see the sprocket holes until a certain time. So maybe that, maybe.
Well, we know that 208 to 212 were completely removed from the frame, and then later on, and then like you said, then later on when they restored it, those the space between the sprocket holes had disappeared.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's right around where Brugioni said, from behind the stem signs.
Mike can't hear you again.
Well, that's what Brugioni said right in the 200s, where his head popped up from behind stem sign, and that's where you see the blacked out right above where JFK's head would have been if he did react to a shot in the back, and his head went back, or what have you. It would have been right where that it's blacked out on the right leg of the cop.
Let me go back to Costella because I think it's important enough. You guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah, we're on 240. I'm going to run this back a little bit here. Let's go back to 230 because we have frames here that are included.
Mike, I do think you may want to focus on Costella's frames, which are the best available version, because we have no idea what National Geographic may have done, what funny business they were up to.
Look at this one, Frank. Jim, you asked for 225, and look, even on 225, you can see features on JFK.
Yeah, and you can see the bullet hole, too.
And this is farther away than the 230s and 240s.
Yeah, I agree. And Jack, it seems to me, is just starting to react to the shot to the throat. See, there all of a sudden he's...
Yeah, look at this. Perfect features here. Look at this.
How can you zoom in there? How close can you get in there, Larry?
Sure. Real close. Hey, whatever you want. There you go. That's as much as it goes. This is 230.
That's where he could have been shot in the back there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at,
well, he's already been shot in the front. That's for sure, right here.
He'd been shot in the back earlier, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
I think as early as 190, he may have been hit in the back.
Okay. Now, here's a real good example of frame removal when you go and look at the Brams. Okay, right here, you see from one frame to another, you see the kid right behind him. Watch how he just pops out, in a couple of frames, which is impossible. You
Yeah.
see? Impossible.
Like
Complete.
a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah, you know, in 2 frames, he's, look at this. And this is,
are already like apart. What do you do? Like just
you see that?
yeah, and his legs are straight, so it's.
Mike, what's your opinion about the disappearing limousine? In other words, if Zapruder had actually been following the limo, we wouldn't have it disappearing. If it had been on a tripod, however, it wouldn't be surprising it would disappear at the bottom. Do you have an opinion about it?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that I said. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't see below, and I'm sure that footage exists. More footage below JFK. What we're seeing right there. I believe that even where all that is black, I'm sure that was cropped out because you would have seen reflections and you would have seen the wheels.
Yeah, too many reflections in the side of the limo to give away things they
Of course.
give away.
And look at, and how about the feet of Gene Hill and Mary Moorman? Remember, they were wearing black shoes, and now, you know,
Well, of course, they were actually in the street, so this is all fabric.
yeah, right.
Well, yeah, and then
Right. Besides that, look at the stubby legs here on Gene.
look at how big they are. Look at how much bigger. Look at how much bigger Mormon and Hill are than the people in the limo.
Yeah, really.
Not only that, they weren't that big to start with. Those were petite.
Yeah, they were.
And just think when you film something, he's filming JFK, he would be in the middle of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what people do.
And then, of course, 255, the lack of reflections, which we have noted here, we've talked about so many times here, where, you know, you've got perfect reflections, you know, of the limo prior to the Stemmons Freeway sign, and then you don't see any reflections.
Yeah, that's one of Beverly's discovery, huh?
Yep.
Isn't it?
That's right.
Part of this be because the wheels weren't moving, you know, that they made the background move when the vehicle actually was stationary.
Well, according to Beverly, it was the removal of Shaney, you know, from the film, because if you can see Shaney perfectly well, you know, in that position in the Alteration 6 photograph, then you don't see him in the Zapruder film when they should be, you know,
Correlated.
That's right. That's right.
Right next to each other, within arm's distance.
That's right. He's when they're right there, almost touching JFK, and then here you don't see him, you know. So anyway, a lot of crazy stuff, you know. And remember last week we talked about the vanity mirror that all of a sudden pops up, you know. See this? One frame. You see that, Mike?
Yeah. There it is. There. It's not. There it is.
Yeah, no, and it's not in the frames right before. Look, it's not there.
Did you notice that, Mike?
Yeah.
The mirror on the
the vanity mirror.
The visor. Yeah.
Yeah, right on the passenger side. Yeah.
Yeah, look at this.
This is a high-tech car, man. You know, they got features.
You see this now? It's there for several, you know, for all the frames, you know, after that. But what happens before? You know?
Yeah, it's really very interesting observation. Yes.
Yeah, what is going on here? You know, all of a sudden it pops in there, you know, out of the blue. You know, I mean,
it's a mirror, and it would have maybe been reflecting. It would have definitely been reflecting light, and would have been reflecting it at a.
Sky, reflecting sky. Yeah, if you move back, Larry, you can see. Go back that one. You see, it looks like it's reflecting sky. Actually, I think Mike may have explained it that it may be there the whole time.
You would see the
But because it's a mirror, it's reflecting what it's reflecting, and that when it's consistent with the rest of the visor, that you can't see it.
well, it's kind of strange. It just pops into view, you know.
I like. Yeah, well, it's going to have to do with the angle then of
from one frame to the other, you know. It's just kind of strange. You know?
I think it's less mysterious now, given Mike's observation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are really.
Mike, I think we have about 5 minutes, believe it or not. So, you know, give us more of what you want to get across tonight.
Well, let's see.
I mean, granted, we're going to bring you back again. What do you think about 313 and all this? What do you think about the hocus pocus going on there?
Well, he just talked about what Dino Rugioni said, you know, about the debris going straight up into the air.
Yeah.
Where here, all of a sudden, it's going to the front, when Dino saw it going in this direction and high above.
And a lot of it.
Well, yeah,
And a lot of and several frames of it, not just here where you just.
Well, how can there be blood and brain matter on the trunk if everything's going straight up in the air?
Well, they cleared it. They cleared it. It's got a clean trunk. That's one of the problems here, is they ought to have had debris on the trunk.
Yeah.
And John observed that the blood spray disappears much too fast to have been real. It appears to have been painted in to replace the original, which was much too revealing of the shot from the right front.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Mike, were you making the point they used the blowout and just moved it forward on the head there?
Yeah, because we want to use something as real footage as possible. And again, studying those single frames, I started to see a similar shape, not frame by frame. They didn't use it in the same frame, but they used it, frames after. Basically, they took the actual carnage coming out of the back of JFK's head and pasted it, here and there to the front, and then they just obviously they just blacked out the back of his head, which anyone could see. You can even see that on video. So
what kind of technology would they have used to do that?
They would just have used the existing carnage that was coming out of the back of his skull, literally just cut it out. Also, one thing I should also say is they would have blown up the Super 8.
Right. Yeah, what kind of hardware? What kind of hardware are we talking about?
Actually, not that, nothing that complicated. But they would have been more detailed, and they would have really skilled technicians and then people working for the government that, not on a movie budget that would, take a long time to do. But it would have blown up each frame, and it would have been a lot easier to cut stuff out. For instance, taking what was actually what you could see as just blacked out, like a shape, literally just cutting it out. But it would have been, a much bigger frame, 70 millimeter, as opposed to 8, and then pasted that on the front, either with an optical printer or just merge the two together, and then painted around it, because just painting stuff would have looked too fake. But
how much time? What kind of time frame are we looking at to do this whole operation?
That in these shots, it's not that much. Movies have now. Have hundreds of frames or shots that they're altering and using special effects. And this is more, they could have done a couple frames a day, but.
Well, you have a team of workers, so if you had 100 hours of work, 1 man, 2 men, 50, 10 men, 10, so, they had a whole team there at the Hawkeye Works adjacent to Kodak. Gary, am I right? We've run out of time?
Yep, the sands of time have run out of us.
Mike, it's just terrific having you here. We want you back. Go ahead. Add a final comment or whatever.
The actual the frame by frame was not that complicated. What was actually complicated is making it look seamless, which it doesn't look, but because of what we were told, and it looks like we believe, because that's the only footage that was really shown. So we're led to believe that this is what actually happened. It's far from it.
Absolutely.
Gary.
All right. Yeah, I guess we can call it there, fellas. All right, Mike, once again, we're going to have you back. And I appreciate Don, Larry, Jim, and it's been another day at JFK. All right, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade.
That's what we were told. Most Americans never believed Lee Oswald was the lone gunman, for excellent reasons. In fact, there were at least 6 shooters who fired from 8 to 10 shots or more who are identified here. We have, finally, the solution to the greatest murder mystery in history, laid out for the world to see, proof after proof after proof. Photos were faked, the body was changed, x-rays were altered, the home movies were fixed, 15 experts contribute to a 529-page book with 1,037 photos and diagrams in black and white and color.
Hi, this is Gary King. If you'd like JFK, who, how, and why, and would like to support the new JFK show, then go to patriotradiobooks.com. That's patriotradiobooks.com.